Hey guys, welcome back to more NCIS. We're on episode 16 of season 3. We are blasting through season 3 already. Yeah, it doesn't seem 2 minutes ago since I was on the first episode. The last episode with the body parts and everything, it was okay. I was more interested in finding a little bit more information over the connection between Ziva and Jenny. And of course, forever seeing the absolute respect that Gibbs gives, that's difficult to say, when it comes to something of that nature, where it's a captain who's lost his life and he's trying to just be as professional as possible with the family members, knowing what they're going through, because I'm sure he's seen it many times just because of the nature of the job. Anyway, that's enough for me waffling on. You want to watch episode 16, so which is what we're going to go and do. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you are here for the first time, you're new to the channel, welcome. I would appreciate if you click that little button, or you can wait until the end of the episode and you can do it then, but you don't have to do any of those things. All you need to do is sit back, relax, and we'll watch episode 16.
So where should I take her? I'm gonna start charging you for advice, you know. Oh, there she is. You smell that?
Uh-oh.
Gas.
Get out. Get out. That's going to go up. Yeah, it was this. Oxygen tank. That's why oxygen tanks are so dangerous on an aircraft.
Grab your gear. Medical transport just exploded.
Yeah, I've noticed you've morphed into quite the forensic expert.
I'm Israeli. This isn't my first exploding ambulance.
You left
No,
the van
I bet
unattended
it
for
isn't.
4, maybe 5 minutes time.
Who's trying to kill you?
Who knows? There's a lot of weirdos out there.
Survived IEDs in Iraq, RPGs in Afghanistan.
It gets blown up on a fucking ambulance.
The local Odocoelius virginianus was but swerving at 60 miles an hour into a tree to avoid Bambi did. This morning he was on his way to Bethesda for a routine autopsy when fate intervened.
Yeah. So he died, notwithstanding how he's just ended up burnt to a crisp, but he actually died going through his windshield trying to avoid an animal, which I know you're not supposed to. You know, as a driver, you're not meant to avoid a large animal in particular. But it's like it's hardwired into your brain to not hit anything in a moving vehicle. You have to unwire it to go, I could kill myself here just by trying to avoid this damn thing. It's I don't know. I've had it as a driver a couple of times where an animal's jumped in front of me. And if I can avoid it, I can avoid it. But if you think you are going at substantial speed and there's a high probability that you could lose control, really, you're just supposed to hit it. I know it's awful, and I am a massive animal lover. You guys must know this by now. Don't even get me started on the Walking Dead and that horse thing. Anyway, I digress. I'm moving away from the subject. Let's carry on.
Lucky for those two to get out.
Yeah, lucky in a way I don't like.
What started it? Because they didn't need any accelerant in there.
Good morning to you.
iPod photo.
Anyone who might have possibly had a motive to try to kill them.
Either has an alibi or is out of town, way ahead of you.
You could have told me and saved me the trouble.
Just say you need to practice and leave it at that. Let's go to photos.
What are you doing?
Being nosy as
Well,
usual.
McGee had a date with Agent Larson last night.
Maybe he took some photos.
Those are his private photos.
Yes.
Well, he left them on his public desk.
Who is this?
Well, it's definitely not Agent Larson. I don't think the drivers were the target, Tony. I actually think it was the body.
Why blow up a dead guy?
Put it back up there.
Put what back?
Uh-oh.
He's got good taste. Going for coffee.
Trick. There you
Alerting
go.
the ozone.
We get the first. Is that the first one for Ziva?
Torn by a loose belt in the differential housing.
Loosened how?
Unknown. The van also had a short in the electrical system. Equatorial pygmies know how you feel about coincidences, Gibbs. So one would wonder, accident or not an accident? The driver smells it. What could it be? He hits the brakes, and the short in the taillight ignites the pooling gas vapors. When the canisters can no longer contain the growing pressure,
Oof.
kaboom!
Not an accident.
Boss, we found remnants of what may have been
Final destination time.
May have been, McGee.
Perp rigged the transport to make it look like an accident.
He might have gotten away with it if he had detonated it sooner, fired dispersed pieces of the trigger.
He waited for the drivers to get out.
Yeah, what was
So
the
he's not a
purpose of it?
murderer.
I think he smells like my mother's fried chicken.
That would be the problem.
Our latest house guest has thrown us quite the little mystery. The blast destroyed his jaw and shattered his teeth. It would take an inordinate amount of time to get an identification from dental records. But, you know, I spent the better part of yesterday scouring his body.
Mystery.
Almost there. By a stroke of luck, I found a piece of tissue viable enough to send to have run against Danforth's DNA.
This isn't William Danforth.
No, it's been swapped out.
And who is this?
That, my dear Jethro, is the mystery.
Okay. And it's also the reason for the bomb in the first place.
Tony, get me a copy of
The
that,
names
please.
of the cops who processed Danforth's crime scene report already on its way. Oh,
The director needs to see you in her office ASAP.
This is Lance Corporal Danforth's father, William.
My sympathies, Mr. Danforth.
Thank you. Gordo and I served together in Beirut, Agent Gibbs, and quite frankly, I'm using that friendship. Wouldn't you?
He would.
So what can you tell me about my son, Agent Gibbs?
Jethro.
That's just shut her up.
Bill.
Mr. Danforth has seen those. He's asking how his son's body was incinerated.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Avis couldn't match the body in autopsy with Lance Corporal Danforth's DNA.
Could there be a mistake?
1 in 9 million.
Have Abby rerun the DNA.
Already on it, Director.
Has he faked his death?
I wouldn't tell her anything yet. Did you identify your son's body?
No, the police notified us that he had died. Said that his body was being shipped to Bethesda.
So officially, no one has actually ID'd a body that is your son. And now we find out that that was not his body in the medical transport either. What does that tend to suggest?
Are you the one who treated him?
Treated? No. Unfortunately, all I did was pronounce him dead, Agent McGee. Heavy contusions to the cranium, pronounced facial lacerations. Half the skull caved in.
Who ID'd his body?
A buddy gave us a tentative ID.
Does buddy have a name?
I can do better than that. He's at ICU room 5.
The police report didn't mention anything about a third injured party, Doctor.
No.
That's because he wasn't injured, Officer DeVede. He's visiting.
Where did mothers die? In bearing them?
Herman Melville. Moby Dick.
Call me Ishmael.
You're Rebecca's relatives?
No, NCIS.
Corporal Merrill, sir.
At ease, Marine. She doesn't like being called ma'am. It's okay, though. We understand that you ID'd his body.
Tried to. Billy's face was all mashed. Billy had just landed stateside after his second tour in Iraq. We were out celebrating at the Gold Monkey.
Celebrating meaning drinking?
Not me, sir. Billy was. Even though he shouldn't, because he just shouldn't. He looked pretty bad. Like he's gonna puke or something. He's the only one that never made fun of my stutter.
You saw Lance Corporal Danforth get into the car?
I put him in it. Like I said, he was pretty drunk. Half an hour? When I left, I passed the accident on my way home. He's just lying there. Oh,
something's not adding up here.
Broken and bent up, but I knew. I knew he was. A doctor said he was probably didn't feel anything.
Are you having fun, Denozo?
All done interviewing Danforth's CO?
You done interviewing his platoon?
I think you got a bit past that.
Thanks, guys. But the word is he only joined because his father was a Marine. Little looser, please. The word also is that he was inseparable with another Marine, a Corporal
Kenneth Merrill. Right to his CO, the Corps worked out pretty well for him.
Oh, yeah, he got into boxing, got his first girlfriend, and get this, turns out he had a knack for disarming IEDs. His platoon called him the
Forrest Gump of explosives.
We think Corporal Merrill may have killed Danforth, Director. Merrill conveniently forgot to tell us about the fight they had the night Danforth was killed.
Is there a problem, Agent McGee?
Yeah, they're all acting like...
No, ma'am. Merrill claims that he was trying to stop him from drinking and driving.
Sounds like more than two good friends fighting to me.
Yeah, it does.
I agree. Merrill also passed Danforth's accident on the way home.
And when he comes back to clean up, cops are already on the scene.
What about the other body?
Yeah, there's that.
There was a third party in the car. We only have Corporal Merrill's word.
Then later goes back, torches the ambulance before the real ID can be made.
Here's the thing. I have a theory that actually has motive, which might be helpful. I don't mean to belittle my colleague's efforts. He hit Ducky's John Doe. Stick with me here.
Oh, I thought of that.
Right? Wasted, looking at 5 to 10 for manslaughter. So he switches
buddy helped him.
the John Doe with his body, then skips town, right? And then he has his buddy, Corporal Merrill, come along and torch the evidence.
Well, I think we should...
We could...
To solve the case! Tony,
Oh my
You will
God.
impound Danforth's car, have Abby see if it hit anything besides a tree. Then you and McGee go to the original crash site.
And I'm with you, yes?
I don't know, Ziba. Are you?
You are her little...
Definitely.
What would you call it? Project?
The weapon of choice in Iraq and Afghanistan. Problem is spotting them when they look something like this. Now, these are just a few of the IED configurations I encountered on my last pump in Iraq. Corporal, you've got it.
I mean,
take it over.
he does have the means, the ability.
I didn't lie.
What was the fight in the Gold Monkey about?
Yeah, what was that about? The
Billy
girl?
was drunk, sir.
You told me you placed him inside the car.
I did. Billy must have made Becca pull over. I should have.
You should have taken him home yourself.
Yeah, you should have.
Are you sure he's dead?
No, I'm not.
The burned body isn't Lance Corporal Danforth.
What are they going to tell him?
Enough already. You know, I'm not the type to kiss and tell.
Real men always kiss and tell.
No, they don't.
But they were not using the honed eye of a highly trained federal agent.
Go on then. Impress us. I mean, he has impressed me on several
Bring one of those
occasions,
numbers.
so... Oh. Okay, what are they for?
Prescription bottle of ibuprofen.
Grunt candy, Marine's best friend, must have been thrown from Danforth's car. And there's blood on it.
Pain medication.
I found Merrill's script at the scene, which means they were in it together. And the DiNozzo body swap theory takes the lead.
Abby found Danforth's blood all over the windshield and hood.
So much for your body swap theory, Tony. Give it up, Tony. You said Merrill was the Forrest Gump of explosives. Who else had the equipment and expertise to blow up the ambulance?
Steve was right. Bring him in.
I learned how to speak Gibbs a long time ago.
You went to Abby's lab or autopsy?
Abby's?
Not to work my case.
I have the right to dig into any NCIS investigation that I want.
Yeah, but he
Not
doesn't
mine.
like it.
You could just observe and keep quiet.
As you know, this is the only piece of the trigger that I found.
I'm not really here.
Now,
Do you know how long I've been waiting to cross over into an alternate dimension?
Well, you're still here, Abs, for now.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find a trace of a single one. But then, I was surfing around on my favorite origami web ring, and it hit me. Origami! The ancient art of paper folding.
yeah, I know what it is.
Maybe the laminate substrate was the trigger.
See, several companies have been exploring the use of paper circuit boards for disposable products.
Metallic ink is printed on laminated paper and then folded into the desired shape. Voila. You're looking at a partial circuit board for a disposable cell phone.
Any chance we could read the...
Foldable circuit board.
Any chance we can read the...
I'd have a better chance of getting McGee to wear a Speedo to church.
3 came in immediately prior to the explosion. One of them was the triggering call, Corporal Kenneth Merrill.
I don't know who the guilty party is.
Appreciate you meeting me, Bill.
Or what actually happened.
How's she doing? She's stable, still in a coma. How well do you know Corporal Kenneth Merrill?
Kenny? It's like a son to me. Because Kenny defused IEDs in Iraq, you think he had something to do with this? No. Impossible. My son liked to drink, sometimes in excess. Kenny was just trying to stop him from driving home drunk.
You involved?
It looks like the call that triggered the fire came from Kenny's cell phone.
What time was that?
0900 about?
No, it wasn't Kenny.
I didn't
He
know.
was with my wife and I from, I don't know, since since before dawn up until at least noon. Was that about my son?
It's over her.
Merrill. After I questioned him, he walked out of the class he was teaching.
You know what they say, when they run, it's guilt.
Withdrawals in the last 2 weeks, credit card records coming up.
Tan. If I meant burnt umber, I would have said burnt umber. Yeah. Whatever it is.
Ricky Ricardo, you got some
Don't
slaying
hate
to
this
do.
on the phone with people.
But we're not going to give up until we do.
Or die trying.
Or die trying? You had to put that in his head?
That's a bit far.
No wonder Dinozo is always looking over his shoulder. I managed to put a couple of bits together.
And the odds of this reconstruction getting us an ID?
Exceedingly long, but it's the only method I have for identifying these remains.
I ran the prints from the bottle of ibuprofen that Tony found at the Danforth accident site. The prescription belonged to Corporal Merrill. All of the prints on the bottle belonged to Lance Corporal Danforth.
So, Merrill gave Danforth some of his grunt candy.
It wasn't grunt candy. The bottle was empty, so I swabbed it and I ran it to the mass spec. Cyclosporine, azathioprine.
Come on, Abs, in English.
They're anti-rejection drugs, Gibbs. If Danforth was taking them, he's had a transplant.
Medication only used for an organ transplant.
Called your home. Wife said you were here.
You got bad news for me, don't you?
Where'd your son have his transplant?
Come on. We already know.
Does it matter?
You're covering.
You can't stay in the Corps with a kidney transplant, Jethro.
Who burned in the fire, Bill?
An unclaimed body at the hospital morgue scheduled for cremation. I didn't detonate that oxygen until they were clear.
Why? Your son was dead.
Why was so adamant he knew?
Corps doesn't care if you had a transplant now. They were more than friends. They were a match. Corporal Merrill gave your son a kidney.
I was afraid that the ME would run a DNA check on the donor organ.
And you can't be on active duty if you gave away a kidney.
No.
To help out his best friend, my son.
He rigged an IED to burn.
I did that.
Bill!
I'll swear I did it.
Yeah.
Kenny had nothing to do with it.
Why'd he go UA?
He didn't go UA. He was at my place.
Where's your son's body?
At the hospital morgue.
Usually one scraping is sufficient, but you are so crispy. Oh, Jethro, Abby told me about the transplant and her theory.
Mm-hmm. You buy it?
Well, it is possible.
I'll do it.
Jethro, I've never seen you break evidence protocol before.
You don't trust me, Duck? I'd slap the nose silly if he did it.
Yeah.
Jethro,
You'll do
you
it.
surprise me.
Must be getting old.
You see what I mean about lips being loyal to Marines? He slapped himself.
Yes! Woo! Yes!
No, it's incredible.
No need for a dental match now, Duck.
The odds on getting donor DNA from Danforth's body are astronomical.
Right hits Annie Hodges. The odds of getting hit by a meteorite? Astronomical. No pun intended, but it happens.
Still happens.
And I'm gonna be published again.
Sorry, Bush. We've been barking up the wrong bush.
Watch.
Tree. So, who torched the ambulance and why?
Don't look at me.
Don't tell me.
Well, yeah. Abby was right. The first test picked up donor DNA. Our John Doe is Lance Corporal Danforth.
I know what you're going to say, Jethro, and don't. I want Lance Corporal Danforth's remains returned to his father, and I want the case turned over to the Maryland arson investigators. That will make Mr. Danforth happy, which will make the SecNav happy, which in turn will make me very happy.
Okay.
He's just going to go with that. Oh, Gibbs. Give yourself a little slap there. Wow. That's the first time I've seen Gibbs be that angry with himself. Even with the bit of the head slap, just to prove the point as to so you're not wondering what his mindset is. He knows what he's done. He knows why he's done it. We know why he's done it. But that's the first time he has, I wouldn't say broken the rules purposely, but allowed things to just go the course they were going anyway. And by doing so, you can kind of accept in your own mind that this outcome probably protects more Marines abroad from IEDs. Because the lad's dead anyway. Knew the father was involved somehow, I just didn't know the specifics. But when he said he vouched for him as an alibi all night, that he didn't go UA, it made more sense that the father was the one that did it, that set the medical transport to be rigged. What do you think of that? I mean, of course, this whole team bends rules. It's why we like them so much, but they get the job done, they get results done. And are anybody's rights being violated here, or any major laws being broken here? I don't know, probably. I mean, to be honest, the one who's breaking the most rules, weirdly enough, is McGee. Because I said it in a previous episode, he does that much hacking into all these different places and companies and facilities and government agencies, whether it's the FBI or a coroner's office or wherever it is, that without that badge behind him and without Gibbs and the team behind him, he would be sitting in a prison cell. But you got to break a few eggs to make an omelette. Is that what they say? I don't know. I love this show. It's about one of the only crime series I've watched where it doesn't feel completely sterile, doesn't feel clinical, doesn't feel, here's the case at the beginning, this is how we work it, the end, and just a little bit of banter in between detectives or a couple of people. This show's more about the people. It's more about our characters and the family that's being created here. And you don't want to see anything happen to them. You also will side with them even when probably you shouldn't. And there's other times when you absolutely should side with them. I'm sure, we're only three and a bit seasons in. I'm sure we're going to approach a point somewhere further down the line where one of our team members does something that's maybe a little bit too far, that's going to question the viewer and me in particular as to whether I should side with them or not. I don't know. That was quite a good episode because it gave us that. It gave us just more of even with the previous episode as well, these two that I've done this week in particular, showing the absolute resolve and determination and faith and just pure respect that Gibbs has for Marines and the Navy and what it stands for. Because the outside world doesn't seem to give a shit. Because these people go off to war, they fight for their country, and your average person in the street couldn't care less. That's how I read it. Right then, I'll be back for another 2 next week. If you're enjoying these episodes, I would appreciate a quick sub to the channel and a thumbs up if you haven't already. By all means, feel free to post your comments down below, whether you agree with me or you disagree with me. I tend to read most comments. I don't always have time to reply to all of them, but I do tend to read most of them. Right then, if you do want to watch any full-length episodes though, and you are watching this on YouTube, check the link in the description, and you can always go and check them out on Patreon. It's up to you whether you join or not. Right, see you for episodes 17 and 18 next week. Take care.